Shadow of the Colossus is, in my opinion, a perfect game. It doesn't need fixing. But since Fumito Ueda is no longer with Sony, the reality is that we may never get another experience quite like this. I'm Mikko, a concept artist, and today I want to take on the hardest design challenge of them all, designing the 17th Colossus. To design a new Colossus, we have to take into account Fumito Ueda's design philosophy. He calls it design by subtraction. Based on the interviews that I've read, this means that in most modern games, the instinct is to add more enemies, more UI, more map markers, more guidance. What Ueda does is the complete opposite. He strips away everything that doesn't contribute to the core emotional experience. No towns, no filler enemies. Even though his games take a long time to make, all of that time is spent on the core message, not on DLC skins or side quests. In my opinion, we could use with more games using this design by subtraction. I might be getting old, but this is something that I love about video games. It's an interactive medium, and it's a way to deliver a message that can do something completely unique to film or books or music. I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of terrified of this challenge. Not only is it scary to touch a masterpiece like this, but it's also a creature design, architecture design, and level design all rolled up into one single thing. But any challenge can be broken down into actionable chunks, so that's what we're going to do. And as a concept art teacher, I can break down a whole bunch of advanced design tricks in the process and learn a lot myself. Shadow of the Colossus isn't just an action game, it's a series of environmental and behavioral puzzles. To design a new Colossus, we have to respect the 3-act structure of every encounter. First, the environmental puzzle, using terrain to just reach the beast. Climbing is the main mechanic of the entire game, so thematically, this makes the environment pretty easy to narrow down. I'm putting this Colossus on a valley of mountain peaks. This way, it doubles down on that theme of climbing. I always think that final moments in a game should have visual theme that uses the game's own visual language to communicate to the player that it's about to end, without any cutscenes or dialogue. In practice, here it means that if you have reached the highest point, you can't climb any further. Second, we need to design a behavior puzzle. That is, forcing a reaction from the creature to find a way onto its body. Adding a path up the legs would make this encounter too short, so for that reason we're adding a massive tail with ornaments to navigate through. The player also needs to shoot the creature so that it pays attention and stops for a while, because these massive blizzards that it's basically creating just by moving are pushing the player away. So to reach that tail and grab onto it, the player needs to grab the attention of the Colossus first and basically stop it for a moment. Climbing is controlled by grip energy that depletes over time. Part of the challenge is to navigate and manage this stamina at the same time. And to give level designers tools to do this, we're adding these stone gates on the tail. These can be used as standing platforms for a brief moment to recover that stamina as the player is making their way upward. Wanderer is only able to hold on to the fur parts of these creatures when they're trying to shake him off. So we're using fur to almost like draw a path through the environment. In recent years, visual design has gone a bit overboard in my opinion on describing what areas are climbable. Some games even put yellow paint on areas that player can interact with. This type of hand-holding is breaking immersion with a solution that could be solved with proper visual design. There's a ton of subtle ways to guide the attention, like lighting, prop design, shape design, leading lines, just to name a few. By trusting the player, you can let go of their hand and give them agency. This is why we play games in the first place, and this is the job of environment artists. Just let them do their job. Now what I'm about to say might contradict that completely. Fur on the Colossus is almost the same color as the stone it's encased in. You can't map out your route just by looking at the Colossus from a distance. I'm not going to fix this because I don't think it needs fixing. All of the Colossus in the game already use this same color palette. And I think it serves a purpose. You have to actively navigate while you are hanging on for your dear life, and that is precisely what makes the encounters so intense. It's thinking on your feet when your feet are literally dangling in the air. This type of design forces the player to actively observe, navigate, and react, not just passively follow. Killing a Colossus culminates in stabbing the weak point repeatedly, but the placement matters. Every mechanic revolves around climbing, so for our extra final Colossus we're going high and building a small shrine on its head where the weak point is, surrounded by these horn-like columns. Story-wise, these horns could also be a thematic link to Dormin, the shadow creature whose power is sealed in these colossi. Shadow the Colossus beasts are intimidating in their scale, but they're not really scary, at least in my opinion, and they're not trying to be. The design has this elegance that hints that you're doing something wrong by killing them. Wanderer's quest is based on a thread of hope that by completing this quest and killing these colossi, that will revive Mono, the dead girl he brought to the Forbidden Lands. Every time a Colossus falls, it doesn't feel victorious, but almost like a funeral. This is a massive four-legged beast patrolling a frozen mountain peak. It carries 4 giant ancient bells. I'm not going to lie, that's a lot of stuff to paint here. For this entire process, I'm using my perfect consistency brush to paint everything. To get those subtle stone texture hue shifts, I'm using Base Builder. Usually, I use my Base Builder brush only in the beginning of a painting to get that base that gives those rich colors. But here, I'm using it to give those subtle hue and value differences in textures that would be nearly impossible to make in such a small scale by using just a hue cube. These are both in my angrymikko oil set that you can download on Gumroad, link in the description of this video. For all the subtle mists and effects, I'm using my blender set, and that you can get for free right now in the same place. Like always, I like to keep my tools minimalistic so I can focus on the idea generation and move as quickly as possible. When it comes to architecture style, Shadow of the Colossus is minimalistic, just like Eco. There are more decorations though. Stone carvings have a more primitive style that looks more like Khmer or Aztec empires combined. The decorative elements become more elaborate on temples. I wanted to take this concept of a temple and incorporate it into the design itself. 2 bell shrines are on either side of the Colossus. Player needs to cut these bells loose to smash through the ice on its body to continue the path that was previously blocked. Beyond doing and teaching concept art, any artist is also a lifelong student. And I have to say that in all my years of watching design lectures and hearing industry veterans talk about this profession, I've never heard others teach this thing that I personally believe with every bone in my body, that concept art is sound design. Now, I have the utmost respect for any and all sound designers out there, but I do think that bad sound design in games is not just on the sound designer. If the only sound effects that make sense in a game are high heels on a hard surface, then that's what you are getting as a player when you play the game. Sound design starts from the concept art phase already. If the environment can provide different surfaces, different scales of space for echoes or weather sounds that need to go on and off in different situations, All of those elements can be turned into more rich sound design that can communicate your story. Just imagine the sound of the stone breaking and these deep, heavy bells shattering against the mountain. This way, we can provide a thematic mirror to the wanderer's journey. Now you're not just opening a path, you aren't just killing a creature, you're also destroying a temple. The design intent here is that even if you had fun up until this point, at least here you'd feel in a very concrete way that what you're doing is wrong, even before the Colossus is dead. In PS2 era, hardware limitations changed the games that were designed for it. We were often stuck in a fog or limited in low draw distances or sparse environments. Shadow of the Colossus was supposed to have at least double the amount of colossi in this game, but because of these technical difficulties, it whittled down to 16. But today, we can push that scale much further. Graphics technology is not just realistic ground textures that Digital Foundry can make podcasts about. More powerful hardware can also offer visual design and storytelling opportunities if it's used right. As you climb this long neck, the creature actually rises above the cloud layer. That way, you transition from this oppressive gray atmosphere of the mountain into a blindingly clear golden sky. This visual shift rewards the player's journey. It also offers a brief moment of beauty that makes the final stab feel even harder. Because here, you have reached the literal heavens just to commit another murder. Design challenges like this aren't just about practicing art. It's a way to relive your favorite gaming moments and analyze how you experience the story. More importantly, it forces us to put all of that experience into a concrete design by deconstructing which ingredients build that feeling for you. The way that you design is always very personal to you. I think I can see here my relationship with the creature designs in Shadow of the Colossus, and I try to build something that gives me that same feeling of reverence that I feel bad for killing this creature. Fumito Ueda's legacy is built on design by subtraction philosophy, stripping everything away until the core emotion remains. And that emotion isn't always fun. Games can be so much more than that. I'm Mikko, and if you like this design process, give this video a thumbs up, go paint something. I'll see you in the next video.